Welcome into Inside Anderson Raptors Athletics here on ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports and the all-new AndersonRaptors.org. My name is Jason Griefer. We're back once again with Anderson Athletic Director Chris Newton. Newt, good to have you back here with us. Let's jump right into it because we got a lot of stuff to talk about and a very cool feature at the end of the show here today. But first, let's start talking about some of your sports right now. And let's start off with volleyball. And it's been a tough start for the team thus far. They've had all league play thus far through 5 matches and are off to a 1-4 start. But we look at the way the ECC is seemingly shaping up this season, and at least from my perspective and what I've been able to tell, and I don't know if you'll agree here, this is seemingly like this year to be one of the tougher years in volleyball in this league. And you're just running into one quality team after the next. And thus far, it's been a tough start for this team. It's still young and still growing, as we talked about a couple of weeks back. So I'm wondering in that regard, how are the coaches trying to keep things upbeat with the players, knowing that seemingly every time this coming down the pike on the schedule, it's, oh gosh, we've got another really strong team we're about to take on.
Yeah. And you're not kidding. I mean, the ECC is unbelievably difficult in every sport, and volleyball, it's unreal. We played Lebanon last week, and I think 3 of them just arrived back from Tokyo at the Olympics. I mean, these 3 girls were unbelievable. They had so, but you're right. It's a young season, and we are very young. We got a lot of new girls out there. We're getting some girls back from injuries, so it's just it's just keep going out there and trying to get better each and every day. It's hard not to worry about results because, you don't want your girls to get down and stuff like that. And they have a tendency to get down just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But we're just trying to keep, feeding the fire and getting the experience and stuff like that with them. And when one girl's out, that means another girl has an opportunity to step up and get some playing time and show what she can do. And so we're getting that right now, and we're excited. This week we go to West Claremont, and then we host Walnut Hills. Thursday is our teacher appreciation day, so all the girls pick a teacher to come out there and play for. So it's pretty interesting, but it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, we got some good young talent. We got this girl Grace Kreider, freshman, who she's going to be the real deal. I'm super excited about her. And then, our upperclassman, Rory Shelton, does a great job. Sophie Thone and Ashley Baker's hurt right now, but they do a great job of keeping kids up to, up tempo and stuff like that, making sure they don't get down on themselves. So we're going to be fine. There's no doubt about that.
Long season ago, as I said, leading into this, there are only 5 matches into the year. So we've got a long way to go to decide things, and this team will grow certainly as things go on. Let's switch gears. Let's move on to cross country. They were in action over the weekend at the Loveland Invite at the Home of the Brave Park right there up in that area, and kind of a preview, if you will, of what they're going to see come October for the league championships. Is that'll also be back there at the Home of the Brave. They're going to head to Mason and up to Milford in the next 2 weeks. Pretty big meets there that they'll be getting some really good competition in. How much were they able to gather from the Loveland run, knowing that they're going to be back there in a little over a month's time for the ECC championships? How good of a prep was it for the team?
Oh, it's huge. Anytime you can, it's kind of like golf. When you get the opportunity to go play the course before, the tournament rolls around, it's great. So the cross country course and Loveland does an absolutely incredible job out there with it. But it's great for our kids to see that course, to run that course, and to get the experience on there. From the girls' side, Emma Stanger and Audrey Baker, they looked great. They ran really well. They were top 25 finishes. And then we had a couple girls, Deborah Phillips, who just works her tail end off. She ran a personal best. And then you got we had 2 girls make their debut for Anderson. Shay McHugh ran super well, and Kate Dorco did as well. So, from the girls' side, we Emma and Audrey got to be our go-to girls. I mean, they're the ones that are going to challenge. And then what we've got to do is we got to find the next group that's going to come in to really push us up to help us score. And we got a lot of girls that are competing for those spots. So that's good. From the boys side, we had Bradley Caldwell did a great job. And we had a lot of PRs, Eddie Mays, Nolan Least, Andrew Kapner, Andrew Stockslager, Adam Stockslager, Matthew Gonzalez, Kevin Phillips. We've got a lot of boys that are really growing into, their talent level. And so it's good to see, but Carrie Lee is just doing a tremendous job of growing kids and getting them confident in what they're doing. And so this course was a great course for that.
What is it like from either in talking to the coaches or just seeing it yourself, to the point you brought up there, which I think is a good one, that you can see the talent coming, whether it's in cross country we're talking about, or as you said, in volleyball, you've got a couple of youngsters that you believe in time will be very good. What's that like to watch that maturation process and be able to point out that, okay, give it some time here and a little bit more maturity, and this person is going to be really, really good for you, maybe in a year or two?
Yeah. Well, number one, it's an absolute blast in seeing the young talent that we have right now at Anderson High School. And, sometimes, and with young talent comes very exciting plays. And it also sometimes, bonehead plays, because they don't have the experience. And so that's what you got to understand. Somebody might make 3 great plays, but then they make a play that, just you shake your head with a little bit, but that's just total lack of inexperience. And that's it. One of the most difficult things is when a freshman is getting thrusted into a varsity lineup. Is, they're going to get their knocks and they're going to get bumps and they're going to get bruises, because they really shouldn't be competing at that level yet. Mm-hmm. But when you have such a talented young lady or young man, you want to get them in there because you want to get that experience. So it's kind of, you ride a roller coaster and you try to get out of the valleys. You try to get out of those as fast as you can, and you try to learn from them. And then you just try to ride the highs as long as you can and enjoy that experience and soak it up and learn from it as well.
And that experience will pay off down the road. And
once
they see it as juniors and even in their senior years, now they know what to expect. And you can expect even better things from them at that point. So, so good lesson there for the youngsters. Stay with it. It may take some bumps and bruises along the way, but that's part of maturation on and off the field, so to speak. So they'll learn that as they go forward. Let's move gears here and let's talk about your golf teams here. And they've had a lot of action as of late. Both the girls and the boys are both sitting mid-pack in the ECC right now. And of course, by the next time we reconvene in a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about the conference championships. So it's amazing. That's already coming up out at Walden Pond in a couple of weeks there. But in between then, until our next conversation in a couple of weeks, both teams are going to be on the courses a lot. There's going to be a lot of action there, and at times back-to-back days, if you will, there. How much in the next couple of weeks is the focus going to turn more internal and try and shore up little things in the games for both the girls and the boys, so that when we go to Walden Pond in a couple of weeks' time, we're ready to fire off on all cylinders and we're ready to challenge up there and try and get up there and get a league title?
Well, I mean, and you bring it up perfectly when you talk about young talent, and our girls golf team defines that. I mean, we've got all freshmen and 1 senior in Macy Hornsby. Right now, Ayla Bruger is the number 3 ranked golfer in the ECC, and she's a freshman. And it is so fun. These girls, I was out there the other day when they're catching the bus, and they're just so giddy about going to play. I mean, they're 14-year-old girls, and they're going. And some of the people the girls they go against are 18 years old, mm-hmm. And so. When it comes time to go to those ECCs, you're right. Our Darren Hausberger is just, we're not worried about what anybody else is doing. Our boys team had a great score the other day, and they got beat by Loveland because Loveland shot incredible. You don't play defense, mm-hmm. As much as I'd like to stand there on the green and swat balls away from opposing teams, we're not allowed to do that. which could be an idea. That would be pretty neat if we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But these girls, I mean, it's just, let's get them better. Let's get them experience, and what happens. But I'm telling you, I'm super excited for these young ladies, Sydney Stockslager and Sydney Dodds. Those are the top 3 freshmen right now, and they're throwing up great numbers. And we got a good one versus Indian Hill today, so we're going to go out and check that out. So that'll be good. From the guys' side, we're totally different, and our 2, hammers are upperclassmen. Cole Miller is, this is his 3rd year on varsity, and Joey Crone 4th year. So, we got a little bit more experience there. So, those guys are getting into their groove, and they're multi-sport athletes, as we've talked about before, and they don't play golf all year round because they're doing hoops and doing baseball and stuff like that. So I really see them, their scores are going to go down as they get on this course more and more and more. So I'm excited about the opportunities that we have coming up here.
A lot of busy action coming up the next couple of weeks here, as is the same for your tennis squad. And they also, by the next time we reconvene, we will be talking about the ECC championships for them as well. It's crazy to think that we're discussing things there, but girls tennis right now sitting at 3-2 in the league, just a couple of games out of first place there behind Bartels Road, who's unbeaten right now. You look at the way things shape up to wrap up the league season. We've got upcoming matches in the next week and a half or so with Loveland, Walnut Hills, Little Miami. We're also going to take on Harrison, Mount Notre Dame, and Wyoming. So a lot of action here as well for the tennis squad before we head up to Mason in a couple of weeks here. And in another situation where we're going a lot of back-to-backs in the next couple of weeks as well. So I'm wondering in that regard, how Coach Johnson's going about stressing the recovery, if you will, in between matches so that the girls aren't worn down by the time they get to Mason in a couple of weeks, because this is a lot of tennis to be played leading up to the championships.
Yeah. Well, number one, our parents do an absolutely incredible job with bringing snacks for them, oranges, bananas, Gatorades, waters. I mean, so they're well nourished there to make sure at each tennis match. But it's just trying to be smart with them. And when you do have practice, it's not an all dayer. You're working on certain things. And, some days he'll work on serve, some days he'll work on this, some days he'll work on that. So, he's very intelligent when it comes, and very understanding about, we got a match again tomorrow. We got this, we got that. So he's really good at that. The one thing that I've liked here lately is, he's done a lot of experimenting with our lineups and about, having some girls who are doubles players play some singles, and then having some singles girls play some doubles. It's all about finding your top 7 you want to put out there. And it's an interesting concept. You can't like stack the group. You can't play your number 1 at number 3 singles and stuff like that. You can't do that. That's illegal. But what you can do, you can mix your number 1 and your number 2 maybe and play some doubles, and that's what a lot of teams do in the state finals, because, you've got a good girl, but then there's Martina Navratilova out there waiting, and Chrissy Everett Lloyd, and, these girls waiting that have been playing since they're 6 months old. You're not going to advance in the state tournament that way. But so what you try to do is you try to partner up your top players, and you try to see how far you can go in a doubles situation. So it's been neat to see the experimentation he's done with that, just to, as we get through and get into that league match and get in the state tournament, find out what our best 7 is out there.
So as my understanding of the next couple of weeks, some of the focus will be trying to tinker with and maybe finalize that top 7 before you head up to Mason and then look forward into the postseason.
Yeah. And I think, again, when we do our when we have our league matches, our Paige McPhillips is our 1, and Lily Ryle is our 2, and Andrea Mir-Turan is our 3, and at any given day, those 3 they can compete against each other, and Andrea could beat Lily and can beat Paige on any given day. So it's not like there's one way up here and one down there. So the competition is great, but like I said, again, you could mix Lily and you can mix Paige and maybe go down and play a double with that. And then you can put Andrea up at 1. And again, it's not like you're not going to be able to compete at that. Mm-hmm. So I think, that's what we'll do in a lot of non-league matches, I would think. And we're going to find out how we're going to be best ready to go into the state tournament.
Let's move on to the pitch. And right before we started recording, I know you indicated you were a little fired up because this is Bartell's Road Week for your soccer clubs here. And we'll start with the girls first. They're going to head to Spartan Stadium to take on Bartell's Road actually tonight, Tuesday night, for match 2 of league play after getting the opening tie against Lebanon to close out the month of August. So a nice result there. And we're coming off a close 2-1 loss to McNick last time out. But we're looking at this matchup here with Bartell's Road here. And Bartell's Road has really struggled on the season. They are winless thus far, 0-4, and they've been outscored 14-1 in those 4 matches, and one of those being against McNick. So we're looking at the schedule, and I'm seeing right behind that coming up this weekend, you're gonna take on Coleraine, who is unbeaten right now in the GMC, and then next Tuesday you're going to take on Milford, who right now is unbeaten in the ECC. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, and if you've had some conversations with the coaches, are they looking at this game, at this match with Bartell's Road coming up, as not just a rivalry game, but one we need to take care of business at knowing that Coleraine and Milford are to follow, and both are very quality programs?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And I mean, I don't care if we were playing FC Cincinnati or the U.S. Olympic women's soccer team next. This is the biggest game right here tonight. So everything that goes on in our mindset right now is beat Bartell's Road. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Doesn't matter if they're 0-4 or 4-0. It doesn't matter what our record is. This is going to be a great game tonight. It's going to be a slugfest. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And what we have to do, and we've just been a little inconsistent as the date. We've got some very talented young ladies out there. Jordan Williams, I'm telling you what, man, she's a great player, and she's fun to watch. Ava Rivard, and Ellie Laney in the goal. So we've got some real talented young ladies. We need to put it together to make something happen. And tonight would be a great starting point for that. We have the ability. There's no doubt about that. But again, this is the kind of night you play for. Yeah. All these girls know each other. I mean, the majority of them probably are very, very good friends because they've grown up playing, 6 years old soccer together. So it's an opportunity to go out there and play in front of the whole township, and to really, showcase your skills and showcase your talent and showcase the team that you play on. And so I'm very excited about tonight.
We're looking forward to keeping an eye on that one. As I said, it is Bartell's Road week. The boys are going to take on Bartell's Road this coming Thursday. And we're going to kind of go a little off our normal routine here on the podcast and move towards the end of the show and kind of get into a different type of a conversation here. We're kind of touch on boys soccer and football right now. Both have won their league opener. Of course, the football team winning a thriller against Little Miami in overtime, getting a 2-point conversion for a 43-42 win. And when we get back into the next episode, we'll dive deeper into the boys soccer and football programs. But I want to finish today talking about a young man who plays for both teams, both the soccer team, and he's also a kicker on the football team, and the impact he's not only making on the field, on the pitch, but also off of it now, as we've seen come to light here in the last week or so. And we're talking about Landon Moore. And on top of being, a really fine athlete at Anderson, obviously to be a two-sport kid in the fall sports season, he's also created a new venture to help out those with an affliction that he has suffered from. He suffers from epilepsy, and he's had a couple of episodes in the past. He's created a nonprofit to help those out there who suffer from epilepsy obtain a specific kind of a smartwatch that can potentially save their life if they cannot afford it. The venture is called 1228 Gives, and through donations, folks can obtain one of these watches, again, that could potentially save their life if they're by themselves and they wind up having an epileptic episode here. So I'm just going to turn this over to you. I'd just like you to just talk to us about Landon, your conversations with him, and then also your reaction when you heard he was doing this and the response you've gotten from his teammates, his coaches, and also the Anderson community.
Yeah. Well, and Jason, I really appreciate you allowing us to take some time to talk about this, because Landon is an incredible young man. There's no doubt about that. Landon came to us his sophomore year. He didn't start off at Anderson, and things he was struggling a little bit health wise, and it was best that he came back to his home school, and that's what his parents thought. We have been absolutely blessed with Landon Moore. There's no doubt about it. Mom and dad are incredibly supportive people. And so, like you mentioned, as the story says, as the story reads, he suffered a seizure in the back seat of his car on December 28th. Hence the name 1228. And how scary that would be. I can't even begin to imagine your child going through something like that and not being able to help. Number one, not knowing what is going on. So he's very lucky in that he has been able to get the medical attention that he needs. And so he feels very fortunate in that. Well, he's like a lot of our kids here at Anderson, and his parents are like a lot of the people here at Anderson. They are so fortunate and they feel so fortunate and so blessed that they want to repay. They want to give back to what's been given to them. And so through Brian and Kristen Moore, Landon's parents, they've developed this foundation, nonprofit organization, 1228 Gives. And like exactly what you said, they wear watches that, they raise money to purchase these watches when individuals are sleeping. It's like an alarm system that goes off. And, from talking to her, they're in the infant stages of it, obviously, and they need help and continuously getting this to go. And when I say they need help, the people out there that suffer from this are the ones that need help, and they're trying to provide the opportunities for them to obtain these. So, that's why we sent out the tweet, and that's why Tino, my man from Spectrum, came down and did a great story on Landon. And and again, if you read the story, it's just amazing what he does, and he does not let anything get in his way, Jace. He's a football player. He kicks for our football team. He plays, he's a starting performer on our soccer team. He scored a goal Saturday. You would never know anything about him, think anything is up with him. And he's very blessed and lucky about that. And he's the first one to admit it. And he just wants to give back. And it's for an 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid to be able to have that kind of mindset is just, it's very special.
It is as you said, very a selfless thing, and that's not every 17 or 18-year-old kid has that mindset for sure, and that's just part of growing up. Some kids are like that, some aren't. But for him to decide after his episode to go down this path and try and help save somebody else, as you said, that's a very, very wonderful thing. If you want to donate out there and contribute to this, the website is 1228gives.com. Spelling out the number 12, TWELVE, 28gives.com. If you want to make a donation to the Landon's nonprofit there and try and help somebody out and possibly save someone's life who cannot obtain the technology that they need on their own. So
they can do this too, Jace. They can do this. I know because the donation, it's I think it's PayPal and stuff like that. Not everybody, does PayPal, and some people are technologically non-existent like myself. They're more than welcome to make a check out to 1228 gives. And they can send that to Anderson High School and carry the athletic department. And we will make sure we get that to the Moors.
There you go.
They're more than welcome to, if that's the easiest way. But I would just challenge everybody that's listening to this just to make a donation. Great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of your donation is going directly to this nonprofit to help out someone else that could potentially utilize this life-saving device to potentially save your life if they happen to have an episode. So again, 1228gives.com. That's where you go. You can also make a donation, as Newt said, and send your contribution directly to the Anderson High School athletic department. Wanted to make sure we talked about that here as we close the show here today. We'll get back into the regular nuts and bolts of boys soccer and football in a couple of weeks. Newt, certainly do appreciate your time here talking about this and everything we've been able to discuss here. And in a couple of weeks, we'll look forward to talking about some league championships, perhaps.
Heard that. And I really appreciate you, Jace, taking the time so we can devote that to Landon and his family. That's awesome.
Absolutely. 1228gives.com is where you can go to donate. And with that, we will wrap up this episode here. Our thanks once again to Anderson Athletic Director Chris Newton for joining us for Inside Anderson Raptors Athletics here on andersonraptors.org and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.